Hello, everyone. I am Patricia. I'm the Health Revolution activist and your wellness coach. Originally, I had planned to be with you live tonight doing my presentation, but at the last minute, I was called away to an activation event in the States. So tonight, I will speak to you about cellular activation and hydration. And we'll look at some practical applications for this and how you can implement them daily. Let's go back in time when food was our source of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and water hydrated our cells. This was before the need for pharmaceutical drugs, water systems, and filters. We ate food in season. Most people grew some or all of their food, and eating a variety of food provided what we needed. So fast forward to today, and bread is enemy number one. Um, Crops are sprayed with toxins that don't wash off or cook out. And cancer and heart disease continue to rise, and younger people are dealing with serious illnesses. Well, the last 4 years, especially, has led to people turning to Google and Amazon to find help for their health issues in the form of supplements. Well, fair enough, but a bit of wellness roulette. Supplementation fills a lack of something that our body needs. So we might have to have vitamin C on hand if we get the sniffles, and we might take vitamin D in this part of the country, especially in winter months. But ideally, we'd get these vitamins from the sun or citrus fruit. Now, I do take and recommend vitamin C, D3, K2, zinc, and magnesium. We do need to supplement those because we don't get them regularly from our food. And with our bodies, trillions of cells constantly, busily communicating because they have tasks to do, we can help or hinder this process. They have different tasks to do depending on whether we're sleeping, when housekeeping needs to get done. Oh, that can't be done when we're awake. And then that has different tasks to do when we are awake, depending on what we're doing. And that depends on our lifestyle again, what foods we eat, and that can give us the tools we need, or be a lack of those tools. We're exposed to all sorts of things that our body has to deal with, as well as has its own hierarchy of things that it needs to do to keep us alive first, but also secondary to that is to keep us healthy. And when we shortchange what our body needs to do, it just can't get around to all the tasks that it needs to do. But the toxins don't take a break. So these toxins can actually block communication pathways first by slowing them down, and then sometimes just come to a screeching halt. These symptoms appear, various symptoms, and symptoms of pain associated with damage which was created by inflammation. Often that inflammation maybe is not even detectable. Maybe we just feel a bit off. We just don't feel quite right. We might feel fatigued. Maybe it's a bit of brain fog. But maybe now we're not sleeping very well, and we're reaching for coffee to keep us going, or sugar to keep us going, and that creates sort of a vicious cycle. Working, this vicious cycle can work in the wrong direction, and that's not the direction we want to go in. But we find ourselves in this sort of caught in this cycle, and we start addressing the symptoms rather than getting to the root cause. So this is where activation comes in. Activation actually gets to the root cause. And because our body knows what to do, it's just not able to do it with many of our lifestyle choices that just get in the way. Maybe for a while you'll get away with a diet of cheeseburgers and Coke, sort of the standard American diet. You can fill in the blank with chips and crisps and sausage rolls and all sorts of things. That finally your body just can't deal with this buildup of these residues from these toxins, and our body just gets worn out. Well, we can activate cellular pathways to enable them to clean up our body from that rubbish and then take the rubbish out and restore function again. An analogy I like to use is our kitchen. Well, do you need to take the rubbish out every few days? Well, I think we probably agree we do. Well, what if you thought, well, I just don't feel like taking the rubbish out today. I'll just do it tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes a week or several weeks. And now you've got all these bags piled up in your kitchen from when you emptied the bin, but you just put off taking that bin out to the wheelie bin. And you think, well, I'll just put it in the corner. And you do that for a few weeks or a few months, and then it's going to be inconvenient. Maybe you block the back door. Well, after a little while, it's going to get whiffy. And if you do that for too long, you might have little visitors. So we know we need to take the rubbish out of our kitchen on a regular basis. And we know none of us would actually do this, but what if we don't pay attention to taking the rubbish out of our bodies because we don't see it until something goes wrong. We think we eliminate toxins from our body from our toilet habits, but it's much more than that. But the good news is we can still rescue. We can still rescue with cellular activation, which started with the discovery back in the mid 60s of an enzyme that actually gobbles up the rubbish, gobbles up the toxins. This began the antioxidant movement, and I'm sure you've heard of antioxidants. Well, the antioxidant movement also eventually boosted the supplement industry. But better than supplementing antioxidants is helping our body's cellular communication to make more antioxidants, which it was designed to do. These toxins are pro-oxidant. They oxidize the inside of our bodies, much like leaving metal outside and it would rust or corrode. Similar processes are happening inside our body. And this oxidization, so now we have antioxidant enzymes that will gobble up that rubbish. Ideally, as these toxins are gobbled up, they need to exit our body, much like the kitchen bin needs to be put in the wheelie bin. So now enters hydration. Originally, water as it was designed, probably since the beginning of time, came from rivers and streams flowing over rocks. And when it does that, it creates an energy from the movement of those water molecules over the rocks, but it also absorbs the minerals and electrolytes from the rocks. And then we drink the water and we absorb those nutrients. Well, I think we all agree our water isn't like that now. Water companies dump all manner of toxins in reservoirs. We also have runoff from fields going into the reservoirs and household waste as well. And people have been asking me for years what water filter I use, and I still say none. Really good water filters, stripping all the bad stuff out. Some are better than others, but I've not seen one yet that can put the good stuff back in. So let's look at what happens when the good stuff is put back in. Because, water is not meant to be empty. And just think of, you get, you're stripping all the bad stuff out of your water and it can't differentiate. It's taking all the good stuff too. Well, what is that water now that it's empty absorbing in that plastic jug or that plastic bottle? What is it absorbing when you drink it? It could be leaching some minerals from your body, but at the very least, it's diluting the electrolytes that you do have. So we have to have water that does what it was meant to do. Well, good news, we now have that water. A company has taken, or a philanthropist actually discovered this, and he takes a base water and strips it down to 99.999% pure medical grade water, and then puts amino acids back in. And that is where we have natural glow. And I'll go into some detail on that in just a minute. So you might drink water thinking you're satisfying your thirst or washing some food down, but that's only extracellular. That's outside your cells. So you drink it, it goes in one end and out the other, not really getting into your cells. But we need to hydrate inside our cells, and that's what this hydration drink does. So if you're doing a detox now, drinking this water, it's going to detox inside your cells to remove those toxins. And once you get that cycle going, now you're hydrating properly intracellularly and efficiently. We're not suggesting that you drink this water exclusively all day long. 1 can a day is enough to get that hydration process going. Now let's look here at the benefits of properly hydrating. So increased energy, improve your skin, so it's naturally plumping up your skin, a better heart health, better focus and alertness. Uh, Proper water aids digestion and nutrient absorption, and enhances joint health, and regulates your blood pressure and your body temperature. And look, I mean, that's interesting considering our body is 60% water. So you can see if we're not being properly hydrated, how that can have a negative effect. Our brain is 73% water, so properly hydrating contributes to that better focus and alertness. Your lungs are 83% water. Blood is 95% water. And there we go. So what does proper hydration actually do for us? I think this is fascinating. It forms saliva, for one thing. So you can sort of feel when you get dehydrated, your mouth is a bit dry. But what does saliva actually do other than keep your mouth from feeling dry? Well, we have viruses popping up from time to time, and viruses like a dry throat. So if you're a mouth breather, you probably are used to having a dry throat. I highly recommend that you learn to breathe through your nose all the time, especially when you're out and about, but especially when you're asleep as well. You can train yourself to do this with nose tape. I had to, which opens up the nasal passages. I had to tape my mouth shut when I first started doing this to train myself. So now I do naturally breathe through my nose. So when we have a moist throat through proper hydration, now if we encounter a germ, and it's going to be ushered down our esophagus into the stomach, where the stomach acid will take care of it. And it helps our cells as they reproduce to reproduce properly and have a better survival rate. It flushes body waste, and we need to flush that body waste from inside the cells. We'll look at that in a minute. Proper hydration lubricates your joints. And fascinating point that it helps, the brain needs it to manufacture hormones and neurotransmitters. And we saw that our brains are 73% water. Wow, we see how that one important factor there helps to regulate your body temperature. And it's a shock absorber for the brain and spinal cord. Isn't that fantastic? And it also helps to convert food as it needs to be for proper absorption of nutrients and digestion. Well, why has detox become so important? There are probably some very obvious factors which you know, but let's look at some others. One is EMFs. That's no mystery to anyone. Toxins in our water, our food, our personal care products, our cleaning products. And a huge factor is glyphosate, which is sprayed on our crops. It turns into food that we eat. It's everywhere. Even if we eat a strict organic diet, we are still exposed to glyphosate. And glyphosate doesn't wait for an opportunity. Glyphosate creates the opportunity. Well, the good news is we have a natural defense system, and glutathione leads that. How many of you have heard of glutathione? Well, it's our hero for detoxing and repairing damage 24/7, so that when your body is making new cells, that we saw with the, in replication, that the water helps, they're making copies of healthy cells instead of damaged cells. And this is where our progress comes from. So we can beat back glyphosate, and we can turn things around whatever our age. And I think glutathione probably got a lot of attention. Maybe that's where you heard of it, if you have heard of it, during lockdown and COVID as a supplement, but that's a synthetic. And the molecules are too large to metabolize very well. Well, the good news is our body makes glutathione. You're making it right now. And we can activate that production through activating a certain pathway, which I'll share in just a moment. Glutathione is our master antioxidant, our master detox, and master repair 24/7. Sort of like a thermostat. It's our front line of defense so that your glutathione is taking the rubbish out of your kitchen like hourly. It's like constant and it goes back and repairs the damage. So many detox options are available today, but detox is no longer an event, not something you can do on the weekend or once a month. Detox is a lifestyle now, and nothing detoxes like glutathione that your body makes. Well, just quickly, we're going to look at how that production takes place. So you can't go to the health food shop and get cysteine, glutamate, and glycine. This is an internal production, but we do need to facilitate its operation with proper hydration and proper nutrients and facilitating that activation pathway boost our body's production of glutathione. But you see glycine here, right in the middle of the cell. Well, glyphosate hijacks the glycine. So that's 1/3 of our body's production of glutathione, cysteine, glutamate, and glycine. So we need to boost our body's production of glutathione and then help with that production of glycine. And we can do that with Natural Glow, which plays a big role because of the addition of glycine. Another major area where our body relies on glycine is our collagen production. And our body makes 28 different types of collagen, which we'll look at now. Now, this might be getting to be a bit too much, a lot of information, but please do take a screenshot because you might want to refer to this later. So our body makes 28 different types of collagen. Glycine is the main amino acid in collagen. We can only supplement about 5 types of collagen, but glycine is in all of them. So increasing our glycine is going to help with any collagen supplements we take, but also with the natural production. And we see how collagen doesn't work just independently. Those 28 types work in combination. So our corneas are 3 types of collagen. Our skin is 3 types. Tendons and ligaments. I love the cartilage, types 2, 9, and 11. How many people do you know with squeaky knees or stiff joints or painful joints? And it's not arthritis. It can just be a lack of the proper types of collagen and proper hydration. Imagine how the two would work together. Our blood vessels also rely on collagen. So think of getting your blood circulating properly. Now, also this chart on the right shows conditions associated with low levels of glutathione, which relies on glycine for its production. So study that, in your own time. I'm not going to go over it all right now, but you see how cellular activation and glycine work together. Well, quickly, you're wondering, well, where did this NRF2 come from? Well, it was a discovery made late 60s, and it started hitting the headlines in the 70s. And in 97, the biochemist who made this phenomenal discovery was highly awarded, and it started making the news. Now, I tell you, once you experience the cellular activation and the hydration, and you get your vigor back, you won't want to stop. And I'm speaking from experience. There's nothing like feeling fully alive to me, and I've learned that through activating these pathways. And so one of those pathways that we activate, which this biochemist discovered, is an NRF2 protein messenger. It regulates our inflammatory genes, our fibrotic genes, hundreds of genes. And for instance, science now shows us how many genes in the heart are regulated by activating this NRF2 protein. Personally, I was tracking for colon cancer at 55 and learned about cellular activation when I was 59. I actually heard this biochemist speak. I'm 73 now, And thanks to him, no signs of IBS, colitis, or colon cancer. And through decades of the American diet, violent upbringing, and other factors that led to these diseases, I made changes. I made changes to my lifestyle, changes to my environment, and I'm activating my NRF2 pathway. So, how many symptoms can be positively reduced by activating certain pathways? Well, hundreds. And some of those you can refer back to that glutathione chart because this boosts our glutathione by a minimum of 300%. Now we can fast forward from all that recognition to now many medical institutions and establishments have now studied his actual protocol. And that's resulted in 31 peer-reviewed studies from the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, the National Institute of Aging, even. So we know that this is robust science. It's still continuing today. But let's look at this supplementation versus activation. We have the ingredients in his protocol, 5 botanicals: ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, milk thistle, and curcumin. You might be taking some of those now. Well, the individual sort of power in the individual ingredients is minimal. Some are negligible, but when they are combined in this patented synergistic formulation, that's where they get to work, because herbs are meant to work together, and it makes them 1,800 times more powerful than the sum of the individual parts. And if a point worth making is taking these individual ingredients, for anything to work inside your cell, it has to land on the cell surface and be received into the cell. So if you have more than one ingredient trying to land on the same cell receptor, they're not going to all get through. That's where we end up with very expensive urine. So you're not going to get the results that you were hoping for and that you're paying for. But in this synergy, we know the cell receptor that this NRF2 protein is accepted by, so it can get activated. And the news continues on NRF2. Just a couple of months ago, it was recognized published in Newsweek, and a quote by Washington State University says NRF2 is potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine, and it continues today. Pharma is continually trying to create synthetic versions. They just don't have the results that the natural version does. So let's look at an unhealthy dehydrated cell, and this can be true for a cell that's not properly activated. It's damaged and it's shriveled up and it can't function properly. But the wonderfully healthy hydrated cell, those communication neurons can fire properly, and intracellularly is where the damage happens. So it makes sense that this is where we need to hydrate, detox, and repair. And this is a quick little chart that shows this is from the study that was done on the Natural Glow. It's being finalized now and written up, but managed to get this slide. So it's showing the comparison with Natural Glow, which is illustrated by the blue line, and the red line is just natural water. So then, just ordinary water, it's sort of a straight line, it's sort of hanging in there, and then it drops off in about an hour. But when you're properly hydrated, it gets in, it gets to work, and then it's a rapid increase. It just keeps going and going and going. So it lasts for a good couple of hours. And the rapid hydration index shows water today just doesn't. It just can't compete. But properly hydrated with the electrolytes and the amino acids is fantastic. And here we see the ingredients in the Natural Glow: magnesium, potassium, chloride, calcium, taurine, and glycine, with 0 salt, 0 sugar, zero caffeine, and 0 calories. There is a sweetened version, but it's a minimal and it's a healthy sweetener, and it just a little bit because some people just don't like water, but it has a lemony taste that I think is just gorgeous. So with Radiance Spas, top of the range beauty products, and cutting edge treatments, this water, this hydration, the cellular activation addresses issues internally so that you can, all their treatments and products are going to work much better. Addressing the underlying causes is paramount, and then everything else you do works on top of that. So um, many issues that we have show up on our skin, sadly, especially as we age. So now we can address the internal root causes, which will enable these products and treatments to work so much better. With our skin being our largest organ, oftentimes the issues that appear on our skin are really just signs of something internal triggering them. So these two things, activation and hydration, work together on a deeper intracellular level to just flip your health around. So treat wellness, and we won't have to treat disease. So thank you so much for listening. I do hope you've gained some valuable information. Please enjoy a sample taste of Natural Glow, which Linda has for you. Any questions that you have, please fill out a short form that Linda has, and we will be in touch. And if you would like a free case of 12 full-size cans of Natural Glow, please see Linda as well, and she will take your details and tell you how you can get a case of 12 cans delivered to your door, and enjoy the rest of the event. Bye for now.